Part 1. The condescending message. The emergency klaxon echoed through the corridors of Earth Defense Command as Captain Elena Rodriguez strode purposefully toward the central communication hub. Her boots clicked against the polished metal floor, each step measured and confident despite the urgency of the situation. Behind her, Dr. Marcus Chen struggled to keep pace, his tablet clutched tightly against his chest, data streams flickering across its surface. "How long since the transmission began?" Alina asked without turning around, her voice cutting through the ambient noise of the bustling command center. 7 minutes ago, Captain, Marcus replied, slightly out of breath. "It's not just us. Every human settlement from lunar base to the outer rim colonies is receiving the same signal simultaneously. The power requirements alone are staggering." Alina raised an eyebrow as they entered the main chamber. The room was a testament to human engineering, with holographic displays floating in perfect formation around a central command platform. Officers moved with practiced efficiency between stations, their faces a mixture of curiosity and concern. At the center of it all stood the massive primary screen, currently displaying a swirling pattern of colors that seemed to pulse with otherworldly energy. "Any idea who our mysterious callers are?" Alina asked, settling into her command chair with the ease of someone who had spent countless hours in that exact spot. Lieutenant Sarah Park looked up from her console, her young face etched with excitement and worry in equal measure. "The signal's origin point is approximately 12 light-years away, Captain, but here's the strange part. The transmission is arriving faster than light itself. This technology is beyond anything in our current understanding." Alina leaned back in her chair, a slight smile playing at the corners of her mouth. In her 15 years of service, she had learned that the universe had a tendency to surprise humans just when they thought they had everything figured out. "Well, then, let's see what our advanced neighbors have to say for themselves." The swirling colors on the screen began to coalesce, forming the image of a being that seemed to exist somewhere between beauty and nightmare. High Archon Zephyrios of the Galaxy Supremacy Council stood nearly 12 feet tall, his elongated form draped in flowing robes that seemed to be made of liquid starlight. His face was angular and sharp, with eyes that glowed like distant suns, and skin that appeared to be carved from precious metals. "Greetings, primitive inhabitants of the third planet," Zephyrios began, his voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate in frequencies both above and below human hearing. "I am High Archon, Zephyrios, first speaker of the Galaxy Supremacy Council, keeper of the ancient wisdom, and guardian of galactic order." Marcus leaned over to Alina and whispered, "Bit full of himself, isn't he?" Alina held up a hand for silence, though her eyes twinkled with amusement. Around the command center, officers exchanged glances. This was definitely not the first contact scenario they had trained for. "For the past 50 of your years," Zep continued, his tone carrying the weight of absolute authority, "the Supremacy Council has observed your species with growing concern. Your expansion beyond your birth world was noted with alarm. Your tendency toward violence, your primitive social structures, and your reckless disregard for the natural order of the galaxy have marked you as a potential threat to civilized space." The transmission paused, apparently for dramatic effect. Zephyrios leaned forward, his glowing eyes seeming to peer directly through the screen at each individual in the command center. "However, the Council, in its infinite wisdom, has decided to offer your species a choice. Submit to our authority, accept placement in designated service colonies, and your species will be preserved as useful workers under our guidance." Alina felt her eyebrows climbing toward her hairline. Around the room, she could see her officers fighting to keep straight faces. Lieutenant Park had developed a sudden interest in her console display, while Commander Jackson appeared to be studying the ceiling with intense concentration. You have exactly 72 of your planetary rotations to provide your unconditional surrender, Zephyrios declared, his voice rising to what was probably intended as an intimidating crescendo. Refuse, and your species will be classified as hostile and dealt with accordingly. The choice is yours, but choose wisely. The Supremacy Council has ruled this galaxy for over 1 million of your years. Your primitive technology and limited understanding make resistance not just futile, but laughably impossible. The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the command center in absolute silence. Alina stared at the no-blank screen for a long moment, her expression unreadable. Then, slowly, she began to smile. The smile grew wider, and within seconds, she was laughing, a rich, genuine sound that seemed to break whatever spell had held the room in check. Did he just ... Alina wiped tears from her eyes. Did that pompous peacock just offer to make us their janitors? The laughter was infectious. Lieutenant Park snorted, then covered her mouth in embarrassment. Commander Jackson's shoulders began shaking with suppressed mirth. Within moments, the entire command center was filled with the sound of human beings doing what they did best when faced with the absurd finding it absolutely hilarious. "Captain," came a voice from the communications station. "We're receiving responses from the colonies. Would you like me to patch them through?" Alina nodded, still grinning. The screen flickered to life, splitting into multiple feeds from across human space. Admiral Sarah Mitchell appeared from Mars Central Command, her weathered face creased with amusement. "Alina, please tell me you recorded that performance. My grandchildren are going to love this. The Titan Research Station wants to know if they should send a gift basket," added Colonel James Wright from the Asteroid Belt Mining Operations. "Something about welcoming our new overlords with proper human hospitality." And Lunar Base chimed in, Director Lisa Anderson, barely containing her laughter, has offered to teach them some Earth customs, starting with what humans traditionally tell people who make demands like that. Alina leaned forward in her chair, her tactical mind already working despite her amusement. "Marcus, what's your analysis of their transmission method?" Dr. Chen consulted, his tablet, his expression growing thoughtful. "It's impressive, Captain, but not as advanced as they want us to think. The faster-than-light transmission is achieved through quantum entanglement networks, sophisticated. Yes, but the principles are ones we've been experimenting with for decades. More importantly, I've been analyzing the background data in there, signal, and their ship designs. Captain, I can see fleet specifications in the quantum static. They didn't bother to encrypt properly. These aren't warships, they're ceremonial vessels. All show, no substance. My daughter's science project has better armor plating than their flagship." The revelation settled over the room like dawn breaking. Alina stood up, her expression shifting from amusement to something far more predatory. "So the great Galactic Supremacy Council is all bark and no bite." "It gets better, Captain," Marcus continued, pulling up holographic displays of the alien fleet specifications. "Look at their power distribution, their shielding configurations, their weapons systems. This technology is ancient, probably hasn't been updated in millennia. They've been coasting on reputation and intimidation for so long, they've forgotten how to actually fight." Admiral Mitchell's voice crackled through the CUM system from Mars. Alina, our deep space monitoring stations have been tracking their fleet since they entered our local stellar group. 12 ships total, all moving in perfect formation like they're on parade. No scouts, no advanced reconnaissance, no tactical deployment whatsoever. Alina walked over to the tactical display, studying the positions of human installations across the solar system. What the aliens saw as primitive mining operations and research stations were actually something quite different. Humans had learned long ago that the universe was not a friendly place, and they had prepared accordingly. Colonel Wright, Alina called to the asteroid belt feed. What's the status of the mining equipment in your sector? Wright's grin was positively feral. All systems green, Captain. Our rock crushers are fully operational and ready to demonstrate proper mining techniques to any interested parties. Asterisk, Alina nodded, understanding the coded language perfectly. The asteroid belt mining operations weren't just extracting minerals. They were home to humanity's most advanced defensive installations, disguised as industrial equipment. Particle beam projectors masqueraded as ore processors, while antimatter storage facilities hid behind the facades of fuel depots. Dr. Chen, Alina continued, how long would it take to prepare a proper response to our galactic neighbors? Marcus's fingers danced across his tablet. Give me 2 hours, Captain. I want to make sure our reply includes some educational materials about human technology they might find ... enlightening. As her officers began coordinating their response, Alina looked out through the command center's main viewport at the blue marble of Earth hanging in space. Somewhere out there, an ancient alien civilization was expecting humanity to simply roll over and accept servitude. They had made the classic mistake of every bully throughout history. They had assumed their victims would be too frightened or too primitive to fight back. Asterisk. What they didn't understand about humans was simple. Being told something was impossible had always been humanity's favorite invitation to prove otherwise. The Supremacy Council was about to learn why humans had earned their place among the stars. Not through superior technology, but through something far more dangerous, the absolute refusal to accept defeat. Elena's smile returned, but this time it carried a different quality entirely. Gentlemen, ladies, she announced to her assembled staff, I think it's time we taught our new friends about human hospitality. The response that shattered expectations too. Hours later, Captain Alina Rodriguez stood before the main communication array, surrounded by her senior staff and connected to every human installation across the solar system. The holographic displays showed a unified human civilization, from the sprawling cities of Mars to the ice mining operations in the Kuiper Belt. Each face on the screens carried the same expression, anticipation mixed with distinctly human mischief. We ready, Dr. Chen? Alina asked, adjusting her uniform one final time. She had chosen to wear her formal dress blues for this particular conversation, complete with every medal and commendation she had earned in her years of service. If the Supremacy Council wanted to play the intimidation game, they were about to learn that humans had been perfecting psychological warfare since they first learned to smile with their teeth showing. Marcus nodded from his position at the technical console, surrounded by enough holographic data streams to make a quantum computer jealous. All systems are green, Captain. We have direct quantum entanglement links established with their flagship. They won't be able to block this transmission, and more importantly, they won't be able to trace its true origin until it's too late. Alina stepped up to the transmission platform, the lights dimming around her to create the proper dramatic effect. Behind her, carefully arranged, were displays showing human achievements across the solar system, but not the obvious ones. Instead of showing gleaming cities or massive starships, the displays featured images that appeared mundane: construction workers on Europa, farmers in the Mars agricultural domes, children playing in the asteroid belt habitats. Begin transmission. Alina ordered light years away, aboard the flagship of the Supremacy Council fleet. High Archon Zephyrios was enjoying what he considered to be a well-deserved celebration. The ship's main chamber was filled with his subordinates, all congratulating themselves on another successful intimidation campaign. In the million years the Council had ruled the galaxy, no species had ever refused their ultimatum. The humans would be no different. The celebration was interrupted when the ship's communication system activated without being ordered to do so. Emergency lights bathed the chamber in pulsing red as technicians scrambled to regain control of their own equipment. Greetings, High Archon Zephyrios. Elena's voice filled the chamber with calm authority, her image appearing on every screen in the ship simultaneously. Thank you for your generous offer. We've discussed it among ourselves, and we'd like to make a counter-proposal. Zephyrios rose from his throne, his metallic features twisting with outrage. How dare you intrude upon our sacred vessel? Your primitive technology cannot possibly breach our defenses. Elena's smile never wavered. Oh, we're not breaching anything. We're using the same quantum entanglement network you use to contact us. The difference is, we actually understand how it works. She gestured to something off-screen, and Dr. Chen appeared beside her, holding a device that looked remarkably similar to the Council's own communication technology, except theirs was clearly more advanced. You see, Alina continued conversationally, we've been reverse engineering alien technology for the better part of a century. Every piece of wreckage, every abandoned probe, every mysterious artifact that's wandered into our system has been studied, analyzed, and improved upon. We're very good at learning from our neighbors. The display behind Alina shifted to show what appeared to be a standard asteroid mining operation. Massive machines carved through rock and ice, extracting precious metals and water. Zephyrios scoffed. Your industrial capabilities are irrelevant. Submit now, or face the consequences. Oh, these aren't just mining operations, Alina replied, her tone still pleasantly conversational. At her gesture, the image zoomed in on one of the mining lasers. The device powered up, its beam cutting through an asteroid the size of a city. In seconds, Dr. Chen, would you care to explain to our guests what they're really looking at? Marcus stepped forward with the enthusiasm of a teacher about to deliver his favorite lesson. Certainly, Captain. What the High Archon is observing is a Type 7 particle beam mining laser, capable of generating focused energy bursts in excess of 12.7 terajoules per second. Of course, we primarily use them for asteroid processing, but they have other applications. As if on cue, the display shifted to show similar installations throughout the solar system. On Europa, massive ice processors revealed themselves to be antimatter production facilities. The atmospheric processors on Mars demonstrated power outputs that dwarfed anything in the Council's ancient fleet. Most impressive of all, the innocent-looking habitat modules scattered throughout the asteroid belt suddenly opened to reveal sleek, predatory shapes, humanity's true deep space vessels, designed not for exploration but for war. Zephyrios felt something he had not experienced. In millennia, genuine fear. Impossible. Our intelligence indicates your species has barely achieved interplanetary flight. Elena's laugh was warm and genuinely amused. That's because you've been watching what we wanted you to watch. Did you really think a species capable of terraforming Mars would advertise their military capabilities to every passing alien civilization. We learned a long time ago that appearing harmless is often the best defense. Asterisk, the transmission shifted to show Colonel Wright aboard one of the asteroid mining platforms. Behind him, what had appeared to be industrial equipment was now clearly revealed as defensive installations of staggering complexity. "Hi, Archon," Wright said with a casual salute. "We've been tracking your fleet since you entered our system. Impressive ships, truly. Unfortunately, impressive and effective are two different things." Admiral Mitchell appeared from Mars Command, her expression all business. "Your vessels show clear signs of technological stagnation, High Archon. No innovation in their design for at least 50,000 years, possibly longer. Your shields operate on principles we mastered and surpassed decades ago. Your weapon systems are museum pieces, and your tactical deployment." She paused, shaking her head in what might have been pity. "Flying in parade formation toward a potentially hostile system without scouts or advanced reconnaissance is the kind of mistake that ends civilizations." Zephyrios found his voice, though it cracked with uncertainty. "The Council has ruled for 1,000,000 years. Our technology is perfected beyond your comprehension. And that's exactly the problem," Alina replied gently. "You've been so focused on maintaining control through intimidation that you forgot to actually maintain your edge. Meanwhile, humanity has spent every day since we left our home world preparing for exactly this moment, the moment when someone bigger than us tried to push us around." The displays around Alina shifted again, this time showing the true scope of human expansion. Not just the obvious colonies, but hidden installations scattered throughout dozens of star systems, research outposts in supposedly empty regions of space, and deep space monitoring stations that had been observing galactic civilization for generations without being detected. Asterisk, here's what's going to happen, Alina continued, her tone remaining conversational but her words carrying the weight of absolute certainty. Your fleet is going to turn around and return to wherever you came from. You're going to inform the Supremacy Council that humanity is not interested in joining their galactic order. And you're going to make sure that message includes a very important addendum asterisk. Alina stepped forward, her image somehow becoming more imposing despite the unchanged setting. "Tell them that Earth extends an invitation to any species that wishes to trade, cooperate, or simply coexist peacefully. But also tell them that any civilization that mistakes our desire for peace as weakness will discover exactly why humans earned their place among the stars." Dr. Chen appeared at Elena's shoulder again, this time holding a different device. "As a gesture of goodwill, we're providing your ships with updated navigation data for your return journey. We've also taken the liberty of upgrading your communication systems. Consider it a gift between neighbors." Zephyrios stared at the readouts his technicians were frantically providing him. Somehow, without anyone noticing, the humans had accessed every system on his flagship. Not just accessed, improved. Their navigation computers were running more efficiently, their communication arrays had doubled in range, and their sensor systems were now capable of detecting threats they had never even known existed. "How?" he whispered. "Because that's what humans do," Alina replied simply. "We look at something that works and we make it work better. We take the impossible and we make it routine. We face the overwhelming and we find a way to win." Her smile returned, but this time it carried a quality that made ancient predators seem tame. "We're the species that looked at fire and decided to make it bigger. We saw the ocean and decided to cross it. We stared up at the stars and decided they weren't far enough away. The transmission began to end, but Alina held up one final finger. "Oh, and High Archon. The next time you want to threaten someone, you might want to make sure you're actually stronger than they are. We've been preparing for this conversation for longer than you've been alive." As the transmission cut out, Zephyrios found himself staring at screens full of data that his scientists claimed was impossible. The humans hadn't just rejected the Council's ultimatum, they had demonstrated technological capabilities that made the ancient empire look like children playing with toys. In the command center of Earth Defense Command, Alina Rodriguez looked around at her staff with deep satisfaction. Every screen showed human colonies and installations, and every face wore the same expression of quiet pride. "Captain," Dr. Chen said, consulting his instruments, "the Council fleet is changing course. They're retreating." Alina nodded, as if she had expected nothing less. "Signal all stations. Stand down from alert status, but maintain monitoring protocols. Something tells me we're going to have a lot more visitors soon, and not all of them are going to be as polite as our friends from the Supremacy Council." Admiral Mitchell's voice crackled through the communication system from Mars. "Alina, what are your orders regarding the other species in this region? Our deep space monitors are picking up increased communication traffic. Word is spreading fast." Alina walked to the main viewport, looking out at the star-filled void that humanity now called home. Somewhere out there, ancient civilizations were having their fundamental assumptions about the universe challenged by a species that refused to know its place. "We proceed as planned, Admiral. We explore, we build, we learn, and we protect what's ours. And if anyone else wants to test humanity's resolve... Elena's reflection in the viewport showed a smile that would have been perfectly at home on the face of humanity's ancient ancestors, the ones who had looked at larger, stronger predators and decided that being at the top of the food chain was a matter of will rather than size. Well, let's just say they're welcome to try. Across human space, the laughter continued, but now it carried a different note. It was the sound of a species that had just announced to the galaxy that Earth's children were no longer hiding among the stars. They were claiming them.